$9 million in this town. I think this is more exciting than any study.
Mr. Merrillville, this is all news to myself. I can't speak to other members, but unlike in a marriage where it's just two people, or in a divorce where it's the lawyer and the people, in the town, there's checks and balances. When we talk about paying of the bills and things, there's 6 of us that are looking at that. So I have no expertise in any of this, but I do feel that there are checks and balances for finances. We have a finance committee, we have a finance director. We all live in town, so I can't. Wait, let me finish. I can't speak to the issue because I'm not aware of it. But I do, Tom. I have to say this. I feel. I've been elected. It's not even a year since I've been elected. I've only been in office since January, and to call for my resignation. That's painting me with the same brush of painting, on an allegation. So I think if there's an issue that needs to be discussed, I don't know how a private issue came into the hands of residents. In my family, when there's divorce, it certainly doesn't become, a political issue, even if people are involved in politics. So this is all new to me, this whole concept, and I understand concern, and I think it should be addressed and directed appropriately. I'm not sure that this is the appropriate time and place for this. I'm not denying your right to ask questions. I'm not denying the right of the mayor and council to hold forth their opinion, but there's so much to be done tonight. So
this is the most important question before us. It's a question of ethics for the town leader.
All right. Well, I just wanted to say that this, I got handed a multi-page document that I'm certainly not going to read in front of you because I need to do my job. But, perhaps this could be discussed at a future time.
We'll be back.
If necessary and appropriate.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not fine.
I just want to address one thing. I've been involved in 2 organizations where there's been fraud by 2 high officials in 2 organizations that have been frauding. And it usually starts with something like this. And what I've heard from the board at different times is different people on the board have not seen the bills before they come to meetings. I've heard that 3 or 4 times since these meetings. So I hope everybody does review them. But I've been on a school board where somebody was stealing, and I was involved in a children's choir group where people were stealing. And it started this way. It started as a personal matter, and we brought it to boards. Nobody wanted to believe in it, and later there were prosecutions. And I've heard a number of times members of council saying they haven't had bills to review before the night to vote on them. They haven't seen them. They haven't been provided with them. That's concerning to me. Well, now, have you seen every bill that you vote on? Have you seen it and been able
I look at the bills related to my department, and in fact, the people that work for the town can tell you I asked for copies of them, so I'm keeping a file. And one of the things, I didn't mention this in my report, is I've been concerned about the electric bills for the lights on the soccer thing. So I've come in, I've talked to Sharon and Dave about that. I have the soccer people are concerned. We're going to meet with PSE&G and go over pole by pole. I mean, it costs $450 to put the light above the monuments down at Station Avenue. And I say, why is that coming out of my department? It's not Parks and Rec. So, I mean, I'm looking at a $4.50 bill. I'm trying to look at things, all right? And believe it or not, there's people here that were in the Women's Club. I understand fraud because the leader of the Junior Women's Club on the state level committed fraud. So I understand that, and I was involved in, trying to settle that. So I understand that. So I appreciate what you're trying to do. I just don't know whether this is the time and place for it at this particular time. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Wentz, do you see all the bills before you vote on the council meeting?
I have been on in the past.
Okay. Ms. Shields, have you seen all the bills before you?
No.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, last meeting I was told that they were forgotten. They weren't part of the thing, but the regular bills were being paid. Sometimes because the agenda's not ready yet, so we don't get them. One time I got them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the meeting was at 7.
Have either of you looked at the audit report for 2008 or anything in terms of their findings around the fraud or check cashing procedures and process around the POs before you came up here?
I believe the borough was cited, weren't they, for
Correct.
accounting practices?
Excuse me?
Improper accounting practices. I saw a memo on that.
Define and proper accounting practices.
I'll send you a copy of the memo.
Sure. What exactly are you mentioning? The check authorizations, or, I mean, what exactly are you discussing? Is there a particular issue?
There's a procedure that needs to be followed in the municipal governance process, and it wasn't being followed. With a specific procedure, I'll send you, I'll review it and send it to you.
I mean, I'd like to see that.
I did look at it, and I looked at the audit reports of these two other organizations I was in, and they looked okay to me. But I didn't trust, when I heard a lot of complaints, and the person lied to me a couple times personally and started raising red flags. And when I saw this today, it may be untrue, but it's raising a red flag to me that's concerning to me as a taxpayer in this town.
My name is
Thank you.
Catherine, 1645 Sycamore, and I think this is the perfect time to discuss this, since we're all here, we're all members of the township. I think it's the perfect time to discuss it.
I don't think it is. Let's move on.
All right, we will move into old business.
What's so funny, Rose?
I said we thought trees were going to be the problem.
They will be.
I would just really say though that I feel that if you feel you have true grounds for this, there's a prosecutor's office. And I feel that an attack like this is one of the reasons that both parties have trouble finding people that will run for office, because this is what you're subject to. And, you know, with those of you that would like to have your personal problems, or maybe your children getting in trouble, or your divorce papers distributed to the room, why don't you come forward?
They're not divorce papers.
About?
No,
They're not.
This is about fraud.
It's not divorce
It's about
papers.
fraud.
he has not been accused of defrauding the town. And
It's
this
still
case
fraud.
has been settled.
It's $98,000.
Does it not go to the character?
Honesty is important.
Public hearing, final adoption of ordinance 2009-1313 through 1321. Ordinance 2009-1313, ordinance making the business chapter 450. Can I get a motion to bring ordinance 2009-1313 back to the table? Second. Okay. Can I get a motion to, I'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance 2009-1313.
What 2009-13-13 is?
Can you come to the mic and state your name and address, please?
Shall I wait for him or shall I come first? Anna Castiglione, 210 4th Avenue. In order for the public to know what 209-1313 is, we would need to have some background. I asked the gentleman sitting next to me how it was that he got a complete agenda. He said he was entitled to a complete agenda because he's with the press. I wasn't aware of that. Is there a vehicle in which the public can get a complete agenda? I tried to go on the website, I couldn't get it. Where do I get the backup information so I can ask intelligent questions about these items?
The procedure is you contact Borough Hall and ask them for a copy of it.
Ahead of time, it's not available to public. Well, in the spirit of transparency, you might want to do that. At many public meetings, we have the backup material so that the public, if they're walking down the street and decide to join you, they can be informed. So maybe you can put that in your suggestion box.
Yep.
What is 1313 regarding?
1313 is a correction to setbacks where it was not spelled out about the setbacks to properties R1 through R6, and spelling out the verbiage for detached garages.
The planning board,
What will the setbacks be now?
They're not changed.
they're not changed.
Okay.
The planning board felt it was ambiguous and asked for a change in the ordinance to clarify
clarify the exact, no actual changes being made. It's a clarification to the way it's been interpreted all along and the way it is in the code.
Okay, thank you. And what about the detached garages? You mentioned detached garages.
It's, an attached garage is not permitted has not been permitted under the ordinance the way it is. And now it's being, and that's the way it has been, but it never said an attached garage is not permitted. It's always been interpreted that way, it's always been read that way. The planning board recommended to us that you put it in specifically that way.
That an attached garage, if new, is not recommended.
Without a variance. If
Okay.
you go for a variance, you might be able to get one.
I see.
Currently, it's not allowed in Haddon Heights, and the planning board wanted it specifically defined.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Sean Duffy, 1405 Sycamore Street. Rear yard setback is why I'm here. Heard about that. I just spent $20,000 proving what you guys said was ambiguous. I'm the guy that went to court to appeal it, won, and now you're changing it very quickly, as some of my neighbors came to me last night and told me. If it was ambiguous, and now you're spelling it out, someone decided what's right and what's wrong. I think that should be open for discussion.
Sure. That's what the hearing is.
Okay. The properties on the west side of town are very small. From 80 years ago, the trucks have gotten bigger, the cars have gotten bigger, the families are probably smaller, but if you ever walk over there, I don't know how many of you actually go over to the west side, there's not a lot of room over there. Unless you want a 6x6 kitchen, a 12-inch deep closet. So the smart thing for this town is to let people develop their properties, do it, in accordance with whatever historical societies are out there. But if you want money in the town, which it appears that you want since mothers are being arrested for not paying their parking tickets, you really need to start listening to the town, talking to people instead of just trying to change things. Now, I've got $20,000 in legal fees, and that's the only thing that they gave me was that the porch was ambiguous. The town didn't really spell it out. So is that a change that you're making right now? I think it is. You just said it's what we've always thought. Well, who's we? I think there's a lot of people in this town that probably followed what you thought was right, and you were wrong.